You pour a drink. Maybe wine. Maybe water from the tap. You don't think about what's in it. You just drink it. And that trust, that quiet, automatic trust, is something humans have only very recently been able to afford. Because for most of recorded history, that trust was a mistake. And nowhere was that mistake more deadly or more invisible than at the heart of the greatest empire the ancient world ever produced. This is the story of lead, not the gray metal from a chemistry class. Lead as luxury, lead as flavoring, lead as the silent force that may have shaped the decisions of emperors and quietly helped bring a civilization to its knees. Rome at its peak was extraordinary. Aqueducts, roads, legal systems, professional armies. It spanned from Britain to Egypt and engineered solutions that stunned the ancient world. And running through all of it, literally, was lead. Lead pipes carried water across hundreds of miles. Lead pots cooked food. And then there was sapa, a sweet syrup Roman chefs made by boiling grape juice in lead vessels. The chemical reaction produced lead acetate. It tasted sweet. Romans added it to wine and food deliberately as a flavoring. The wealthier you were, the more of it you consumed. They were seasoning their meals with a neurotoxin. Historian John Scarborough documented this in his 1984 paper in the Bulletin of the History of Medicine. He showed the exposure wasn't accidental, it was structural, baked into the Roman food system at every level. But lead doesn't kill you quickly. It accumulates. It settles into your bones, your blood, your brain over years. And what it does to the brain is where Roman history gets rewritten. Lead impairs judgment. It disrupts impulse control. It causes aggression, paranoia, and erratic decision-making. In high doses, it produces personality changes that look, from the outside, like madness. Geochemist Jerome Nuriagu published a landmark study in 1983 in the New England Journal of Medicine. He compared ancient accounts of Roman emperor behavior to the known neurological effects of chronic lead poisoning. Caligula, Nero, Commodus, Caracalla. Grandiose thinking, sudden rages, paranoid delusions, the symptoms clustered. His argument wasn't that lead explained everything, but it may have been amplifying the worst of what was already there. The decisions that shaped Western history, wars declared, citizens executed, alliances destroyed, may have passed through brains operating well below their capacity. Not just because of cruelty, because of plumbing. And it wasn't only the emperors. A 2019 study in PLOS1 analyzed skeletal remains from Herculaneum and found Roman citizens had blood lead levels roughly 2.4 times higher than people in the same region before Roman rule. Average citizens. Higher exposure from the pipes, the cookware, the food. At that scale, lead suppresses fertility, increases miscarriage, and compounds fetal brain damage across generations. Rome wasn't just poisoning its rulers, it was poisoning its children. Here is the part that should stop you. The Romans knew. Vitruvius, the Roman engineer writing in the 1st century BCE, explicitly warned in De Architectura that lead pipes were likely harmful. He pointed to the pallor and weakness of lead workers. He recommended clay instead. He wrote it down. Rome kept using lead because lead was cheaper, because the cost was paid by bodies that weren't in the room when the decision was made. That pattern didn't end with Rome. Leaded gasoline was introduced in the 1920s. The danger was spotted almost immediately. The evidence was buried. Herbert Needleman spent 30 years proving leaded fuel was damaging children's brains in the United States and faced decades of industry attacks for it. Lead wasn't removed from American gasoline until 1996. Multiple generations had already been exposed. Same structure, different century, a useful material, a hidden cost, a population that didn't know, a small group that did and stayed quiet. Rome didn't fall because of lead alone. Military overextension, political collapse, economic strain, all of it contributed. But lead may have been a force multiplier. A background condition making every other problem slightly worse. Leaders slightly more erratic. Population slightly less healthy. A civilization running below its potential, for reasons it couldn't see and couldn't name. The Romans built their greatness with the same material that may have helped end it. Every aqueduct was a delivery system. Every sweetened cup of wine was a dose. You pour a drink today, clean water, regulated pipes. Standards built on the wreckage of what happens when we don't pay attention to what's in the pipes. Someone fought hard to make that glass safe. Don't put it down without knowing that.